Now, I do think occasionally NFL fans of certain teams, any team really, get a little too carried away with the hypothetical trade scenarios. You know, I could solve this roster in 2 seconds. Just trade a second rounder for Jamar Chase and we're good. And it's like, yeah. No, but yeah. Got you.
If that's all it took, the deal would have been done already.
Exactly. Who says no? Who says no? We give up Trevor Etienne. We get back Jahmyr Gibbs.
I think Detroit would
the
say
Lions.
no.
The Lions are the ones that say no.
Yeah.
And they might actually not say no. They might say, Dan, are you all right? Do you need help? Is something up? We can get you some help. Should we call somebody? But when a team or a report kind of floats a structure or floats part of it, then it becomes more interesting because it's not just hypothetical fairyland trade ideas, right? It's not just, well, would you do this? There's something there. So we know that Micah Parsons was traded from Dallas to Green Bay. And you can assume that Jerry Jones, you would hope, at least talk to one other team, right? You would hope that he at least sensed if there was a market before selling one of the most valuable players ever sold in a trade in NFL history. And it turns out, according to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, who was on with 105.3 in Dallas, the Panthers were one of the teams that had reached out, and this is Jeremy Fowler's reporting.
I know the Carolina Panthers inquired. They did not make a formal offer, but they did inquire, so they were in talks. And, we heard some whispers from league circles that Micah had interest in certain teams. Green Bay was one, but like a little bit of Baltimore, a little bit of Kansas City, Philadelphia. But we never really – some of those teams didn't look into it really. I know Kansas City didn't. There wasn't a lot of momentum in some of those other teams. But Carolina did look into it, and Dallas would have had reason to look into that because of Derrick Brown, star defensive tackle. They were looking for those type of players, those interior D linemen. So that made some sense. But Carolina ultimately didn't want to move Brown and didn't move on that.
They didn't want to move Brown and didn't move on that. Now, we talked about it earlier. I like that they called. I like that they were in the mix. I like that they were price checking, making sure, nobody got the steal of all steals in a trade because, hey, I can beat that, right? Like you wanted to make sure that happened. But I did. Listen, I like Derrick Brown. Big fan. Haven't seen him in a while. Hasn't played in a game in a while. But I'm a big fan of Derrick Brown. I think he might be the best run-stuffing defensive tackle in the NFL. And if he is able to level up to, 5.5, 6.5 sacks a season, I think he becomes an all-pro candidate. I think he's really gosh darn good. Hearing that reporting from Jeremy Fowler did make me go, well, what was the deal? What else did they want? How much did they value Derrick Brown? Because let's be real, Micah Parsons plays a position that is more impactful, and he's pretty darn special. So the deal that the Dallas Cowboys ended up taking was Kenny Clark, a former Pro Bowler, 3-time Pro Bowler spread out over the last 7 or 8 years. Not last year, but most recently the year before. Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks for Micah Parsons. Now, I've come around to that being a decent price. My first reaction was like, they paid nothing for him. But then they had to pay him $47 million a year, and there's other things going on. So, okay. Derrick Brown is worth more than Kenny Clark.
Especially at this stage. About 4 years of age difference and all.
And I would assume a Carolina Panthers first-round pick is more valuable than a Green Bay Packers first-round pick.
Yeah.
Just in the vacuum, just in the ether. If you put both on the open market, I think the Panthers pick would bring back more. If Jerry saw it that way, and you could get, say, Derrick Brown and a first and nothing else, and it would have made Micah Parsons a Panther, I'm intrigued. Now, the salary still gets me a little leery, so I understand why Dan Morgan would eventually put down his foot And also, a man's got to have principles, right? Like, also, if Derrick Brown is one of your dudes, if he is a culture setter, if he is, like, you don't understand the value he brings, I completely respect if you have 3 people on your roster that are true, the moment their name comes up, you're hanging up. I respect that. I can't know that because I'm not in the locker room, right? I can't know what he brings to you as far as intangibles. But I would be a darn liar if I didn't think as soon as I heard that from Jeremy Fowler, well, hold on. No, I'm not trading Derrick Brown. Absolutely not. I'm not trading Derrick Brown. But let's say I were to trade Derrick Brown. What else would you need for Micah Parsons? And if then it went into, well, it would start with 2 firsts. Okay, never mind. I told you I wasn't trading Derrick Brown. But if it came back with like, well, we're reasonable, a first and Derrick, then I'm going, ooh, could we talk him down off this a little bit? Then I'm going, ooh, what else do you need? Let's talk. Right? The only reason that I am in favor of always calling, which, by the way, if you remember a handful of weeks ago, whatever it was, preseason time, it has no start, has no end. When Trey Hendrickson was holding out, there were 3 names referenced by reporters that had reached out to the Bengals, at least called, right? We don't know how in-depth these conversations got, that at least called on Trey Hendrickson, and one of those teams was the Panthers. And I was like, good, be in every conversation. I don't think you should spend much for him, but figure it out. Same thing here. Good. But the reason why I'm in favor of being in every conversation is for the off chance that you go, oh, actually, I can do that. Wait a second. That's all it's going to cost? I was just calling on a price check, and that's 50% of what I thought he was worth. Just as a value play. Yeah, I'll buy that. Here you go. Right? Because the part that I think we all are getting really, really far away from is, and I think Jerry Jones might be the best reminder of this in history. The people that are running NFL teams are just humans, right? They have weird decision days too. You ever have that one? You make a decision, you wake up the next day. Why did I do that? Jerry Jones can do that. Or, again, what did I say today, Dennis? I'm quoting movies all day.
You've been on it.
Superbad. We can be that mistake.
Yeah.
Right? If Jerry Jones wants to do something stupid and you're calling up and he mentions Derrick Brown and you go, absolutely not, only to then learn that it was going to be Derrick Brown in a 4th for Micah Parsons because Jerry Jones is making a mistake, just to hear him out. You know what I mean? I want to know how that conversation ended. Not because I'm anxious to get rid of Derrick Brown. Matter of fact, I would be reluctant to give up Derrick Brown. But if the deal is bananas, we can be that mistake. When Jerry is at the end of his career and he goes, you know what? Herschel Walker, that was a good one. Micah Parsons, that was a real bad one. We can be that mistake, right? Which is why I am kind of against, unless there is intangible stuff that we just will never know, right? If we take this guy out of the locker room, our entire house of cards falls apart, right? The Jenga piece that makes it collapse. Unless he's that guy with the intangibles, I don't like having those untouchable players in trades. What I do like having, and this is obviously not the case because Jeremy Fowler found out about it, what I like having is, if you tell anybody we even discussed trading this player and the deal doesn't get done, I will deny it and call you a liar to the entire media. Like, I will take this to my grave. Now, how much would you give me for J.C. Horn? Right? Like, that's how I would, like, me and you, we got to trust each other. If I'm trading you a deal that big, before we even discuss this, I just want to let you know, if this deal falls through and it doesn't happen, I'm still glad we had the conversation. I respect our relationship. If you tell anybody about it, I will deny it.
We never spoke publicly.
We never spoke.
We never spoke.
Someone comes up to you and goes, were you talking about trading for Derrick Brown? I would go, I didn't even talk to Jerry.
Like, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. Derrick Brown?
Well, here's the thing about Derrick Brown. He was was Chicago had asked about him in the trade when Carolina moved up back in 2023 to the number 1 pick from 9 to 1, and they said no, you can't touch a Derrick Brown. That so they've said this once before, and that was to trade up to get the number 1 pick and obviously to draft Bryce Young. But Dan Morgan has said that we're gonna be aggressive. Doesn't mean moves are going to be made, but we're going to be aggressive. And the fact that they are inquiring about Trey Hendrickson, Micah Parsons, that's an aggressive nature. That's an aggressive mindset. Again, price has to be right, situation has to be right, but we're going to call. And I like that from Dan Morgan. I like the fact that he's active with it. You made the comparison with Eric Tulsky, the Canes general manager. Every trade possibility you heard during the season last year, Carolina.
Like when Mikko Rantanen was traded to Carolina, do you know what most the number one thing was? I don't even think this team knew he was available.
Yeah, no one knew.
That will never happen to Eric Tulsky.
No,
right? If somebody's traded, he's going to go, "Yep, heard about that last week. Talked to him about it. Their price was too rich for our blood, but I was extremely aware, and actually, I almost got a 3rd-round pick out of it to take on a little cap." Like that's Eric Tulsky, right? And I want that to be every GM of a team that I care about. I want that to be Dan Morgan, right? When Micah Parsons was traded to the Packers, the world was surprised. Dan Morgan was sitting there like, I knew that was going to happen. I was in the mix there for a little bit till they wanted Derrick Brown. Like that's the way that it went, and I think that's good for the Panthers.